Hello and welcome to an AVForums short video overview of the Bowers & Wilkins 707 S3 Prestige Edition loudspeaker. That's quite a lot of words for a relatively small speaker. My name is Ed Selly, I'm the Hi-Fi editor for AVForums, and we'll start this, slightly unusually, by saying what this speaker is not. You might be looking at this thinking shiny wood, beefed up. This is a signature. No, it is not a signature, and that is why Bowers & Wilkins has wheeled out the term Prestige Edition, which they have used before. We'll come to that in a bit. Signatures, thinking about this, are both shiny on the outside but upgraded on the inside as well. They benefit from upgraded crossovers and sort of general tweaks and revisions intended to extract a bit more performance from the standard speaker. This isn't that. It is based on the 707 S3, which is the smallest member of the 700 series, which is a fairly considerable range of speakers judged by the standards of 2026. There are 3 stand mounts and 3 floor standers, 2 of which have the tweeter on top, and we've looked at the 702 S3 signature as a video review that is on the channel, and Bowers & Wilkins very pointedly says that anything that doesn't have tweeter on top can't be a signature. So in theory this was off to a bad start anyway, but it's worth pointing out that they haven't done any revisions to the inside of the speaker. This means that actually the price difference between the standard 707 S3 and this is not that large. It's £150, but we'll come to whether you consider that worth the difference over what's actually being done. I'll leave you to make your own decisions on that. This also means that the basics are unchanged. You get a 25mm carbon dome tweeter, so not diamond, but you know, getting on the way to diamond, partnered with a 130mm continuum woven mid-bass driver. The frequency response and measurements are unchanged as well. You get 50 Hz to 28 kHz at ±3 dB in this more challenging space where I'm currently in at the moment. That has just about been bettered, not by a huge amount, but by a fractional amount. In the old room, which had more of a benign lift at that sort of point, I'm sure it would have probably achieved something a little bit more. Sensitivity is quoted at 84 dBs for 1 watt of input, and impedance is listed as 8 ohms. We'll cover those in a little bit. So, if it's the same basic drivers and hardware, and it's the same measurements, what has changed? Right, this tweeter is now fronted by the mesh which made its appearance first of all in the 800D4 signature models and is also used in the 700 S3 signature models. Bowers says that it improves high frequency dispersion. As I don't have a pair of normal 707 S3s here to test, I can't tell you if that is the case or not, but it looks smart and it provides a bit of a tie to the signature models even if this isn't one. Around the back you get the same side-by-side layout that first appeared in the 800D4's really nice way of arranging the terminals. Bowers persists in offering the option to buy wire their loudspeakers, and I have to be honest, if you're going to do that, supplying this nice spacious arrangement is a much better way of doing it than the stacked up and down terminals. On the Prestige Edition, it makes use of the smarter signature style terminals. This is a major point of contact for people when they own loudspeakers, and broadly speaking, it feels and looks really nice. You can place your own worth on that, but it's just touches that make you feel that you've spent wisely on your product. Where they really have gone to town is what it's covered in. The standard model comes in 3 finishes. Those are dispensed with. This is only available in high gloss Santos Rosewood, which first appeared on the 805 D3 Prestige Edition, which is the only other time that this term has been used so far as I know. Please feel free to correct me in the comments if I've got that wrong. For some people, including a lot of people on the internet, aesthetics are of no tangible benefit when considering a product. It could be finished in black crackle or I don't know, crayon for all that it matters. However, there's no getting around the fact that this looks and feels pretty special for a £1,500 product. £1,500 is not money you lose down the sofa, and this is not a large loudspeaker. but it comes out the box looking and feeling like a high-end product. This gives it a quality that will allow it into spaces where I suspect that the standard model, and indeed a lot of rivals at this sort of price point, are not going to get a look in. This is furniture in a way that so many of its rivals are not. Whether you ascribe any value to that or not is up to you, but it's important to stress that the standard 707S3 continues on sale as before. This has not replaced it, it has augmented it. So I think it's not a bad shout on the part of Bowers & Wilkins, and as a company which was instrumental in moving us to hi-fi as furniture in the ensuing decades, I think it's sort of reminding everyone that they're pretty good at this sort of thing. I'm also inclined to be fairly positive about this because whilst I've never listened to the box standard 707S3, based on the principle this is mechanically identical, and the only thing that could possibly make a difference is that tweeter mesh, and that's not going to explain away certain aspects of its performance. The basic speaker is extremely good. First and foremost, let's return to that bass response. 50 Hertz, for some of you, that isn't going to be enough. I'd rather have a smaller quantity of good bass than oodles of bad bass. You can just about feel what's going on as well as hear what is going on with this speaker. And it's detailed, articulate, and energetic. It's handled everything I've played with a sort of a generalized sense that everything is fine. It's not been unsettled by anything, and it simply performs in a way that speaks to a fair bit of care and attention going into how it operates. When you move up from the low end, the handover between the two drivers is seamless, it's extremely detailed, and tonal realism is pretty damn good. I'm still a fan of old tech, so soft dome tweeters, paper drivers, so on and so forth. I think on occasions there's a naturalness that some of these more sophisticated devices can't necessarily get near, but this is pretty damn good. And what's more, in terms of the air and space around the top end, this broadcasts from the cabinet in a way which feels pretty impressive for a speaker of this size and sort of overall dimensions. It creates a soundstage that, so long you've put a bit of care into where you've placed them, extends quite some way beyond those cabinets. It's extremely impressive. What's more, it's also good fun. Now, over the years, Bowers & Wilkins has had an on-off relationship with fun. They've on occasions released speakers that were breathtakingly technically competent, but about as fun as having a bath with your clothes on. In more recent years, they've got a lot better at that. Everything since Continuum debuted has been, generally speaking, more engaging, but this is a right laugh. There are points during testing where I've simply stopped listening to the product in a critical sense and enjoyed what it is doing, and that has to be the point of this, surely. You're listening to the music, you're not listening to your system. And it's extremely good at that. It does that whilst being usefully forgiving of less than brilliant material, even though it's pretty well lit at the top end. I'm not going to use the word bright, but there is a fair bit of energy up there. All of this has to be caveated with the understanding that this is not a quick fix for an affordable system which is underperforming. I feel actually that the 84 dB sensitivity measurement is ever so slightly on a pessimistic side, but please don't think that you'll get away with driving these on a relatively underpowered amplifier or something which doesn't have decent current delivery. I've used the Resident Cambridge Audio Edge A for the bulk of testing on this. Obviously that's rather overmatching a £1,500 loudspeaker, but the principles are sound. It's got plenty of power and it's got superb current delivery, and the results have been excellent. I suspect that you don't need to spend as much as that, but equally I would be looking to spend about as much as this speaker costs to start getting the best from it. It's not a quick fix solution for absolutely everything that's out there. We then come to the thorny issue of whether I'd actually buy one. Now, people who watch this channel a lot, thank you, will remember that not that long ago I did a long and fairly impassioned review of the Acoustic Energy AE1 40th Anniversary Edition, which is £50 less than the Prestige Edition. Lots of editions. I can't lie, were it my £1,500, that's where my £1,500 would go. But I went to great lengths in that video to explain that I am not an impartial observer of this. It's one of my favourite loudspeakers of all time, and Acoustic Energy has just gone and tweaked it and made it slightly better, dragged it kicking and screaming into the 21st century. In a number of technical regards, this is the superior speaker. Its airiness at the top end and the sheer amount of detail that it can extract from recordings is significantly better than the AE1. I'm simply drawn to just how ballistic and energetic the AE1 40th anniversary edition sounds. So I think for a number of people this is more sensible. It also is impossible to ignore that, well finished as the AE1 is, this is a step up again. There's nothing I've tested at £1,500 which feels as smart and as well finished and as carefully constructed as this speaker does. And that means it's going to find its way into spaces where its key rivals are barred because they simply don't feel and look as smart as this one does. More than anything, this speaker feels like Bowers & Wilkins knew that the basic 707S3 is a bit special, and what they've done is found a way for us to pay attention to it by making a shinier one. If you've no interest in this finish, if you've no interest in the extra bits, I have every suspicion that the £1,400 basic model is rather spectacular as well, and well worth seeking. If you've enjoyed this little ramble through this small but very shiny loudspeaker, thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. There will be more content along this nature, as well as a host of other things. And I look forward to seeing you again next time. Thank you, bye.